Hey guys, Curious Hobbyist here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to show you the making of my new game called ISO Illusions. So first, here's how it started. I started to use a game engine called Unity. At one time, I looked inside the start window and came across a linked tutorial project called Rollerball. So then, I downloaded that and opened it. It also links a video series on putting the game together. However, once I saw the first one, I did see a difference in the downloaded project. If you take a look at the project view, you will notice a completed game folder. In the video, there seems to be nothing there. I have made a video on this, so if you want to see it, click on the top right or follow the link below. I also made some more changes more recently, and I will get to those after I show the following. However, I will be using the completed game for easier demonstration. So, without further ado, here's how I made the first level. Firstly, right-click the empty space in the hierarchy view, or open the Create menu at the top. Now select 3D Object, Plane. This creates a Unity stock plane. Now select 3D Object just as before. All of these shapes are part of Unity. This time, choose Sphere. Now, make sure that both of these are at origin. For that, select the shape in the scene or hierarchy. Now go to Transform and reset all three position values by typing in a 0. Or, click on this gear icon and select Reset. However, you will need to move the sphere object up a bit. That's because its origin is the center, and the plane is also at origin. So, type a number in the Y position field that's half the sphere height. Now, X, Y, and Z are three axes. Normally, the X axis is for left and right, Y is for up and down, and Z is for forward and backward. Now, the finished game is only comprised of this plane with 12 collectible objects on it. That's boring. Let's make it more unique. Go to the project and again, right-click the empty space and point the mouse to Create, or open the Create menu. Now select the option for Material. This creates a material right inside the project. So, select that and click on the property Albedo. This opens a window for color selection. In my case, I'm going to choose a red color. Now add another one for the sphere surface. I'll be choosing a blue color this time. Before you go further, it's probably best to look at the world right in the scene view. For that, click on the blank portion of the Z or blue axis. Now, right-click and drag to rotate down a bit. I'm also going to rotate the main camera in a similar way. Next, you'll have to control the player. So select the object, and the first thing you'll need is gravity. So go to the inspector and select Add Component. Then go to Physics and select Rigid Body. This will apply physics to the object. Now, the stock shapes all have built-in collision, so the only thing left is following the videos and writing the script. For simplicity, I'll be adding the finished one because I already went through with that. However, the script has a public adjustable speed value, and this determines the ball's movement speed, so make sure you set this to something. Now, let's test the game. As you can see, the physics and script work. So next, I modeled the level. For that, I only used the Unity stock shapes. First, I made 3 more planes, moved them, scaled them down on X and Z, and used them as 3 floating platforms. Now, here's where the illusions come in. Select the main camera object, and click the camera projection dropdown. Now choose Orthographic. This is what Unity calls isometric. That is the ISO in ISO Illusions. This projects the camera in a completely different way. For instance, let's observe Perspective mode. In this mode, the camera near plane is very small, and the camera projects outward for visual cues from all platforms in sight. And once the camera moves, the platforms shift. And most 3D games use this mode for obvious reasons. In ISO mode, the camera will only project forward, and the near plane is much larger to match the far plane. Once it moves, the platforms do not shift. They only shift if the camera rotates. However, this does limit the variety of illusions you're able to create, at least if it's facing straight forward, that is. So here's a way to improve that. Take the camera, copy over the Z position into the X, and rotate it by 45 degrees on the Y-axis. This way, the camera projects diagonally. However, the camera does not follow the ball. So now, child the camera to the ball. That way, it stays with it and moves with it. However, let's test this. And what the heck? It rotates around the ball. Here's why. The ball is rotating. So because I attached the camera, it's like using a stick to attach it. And the ball is a sort of origin point. However, the video shows you how to create another script that offsets the camera position only. But there may be another, slightly easier fix for this. Select the sphere, go to the physics, and open the constraints dropdown. Now, freeze the ball's rotation on all three axes, preventing the ball from rotating at all. Let's test this. And apparently, it's not moving. However, I did see a slight bit of shifting in the inspector, so then I changed the speed value way higher. Interestingly, that worked. However, it does change the movement mechanics slightly. So then I added more platforms, which come to think of it are only cubes and planes. In fact, the level is only comprised of those two shape types, just with varying scale. But still, this is interesting. I also added a couple of 3D text elements. This way, I can illustrate the goal of the game and put the message right on the main starting plane. I can also add smaller messages, such as, "Which way should you go?" and "Not everything is what it seems to be." So now, let's test this. Obviously, the platforms work. However, it does have some problems. The concept of this is already a difficult game. The illusions were hard to pass, because you can't tell how far to move each fall because of the projection. But even for me, and I know how I made this, one problem is the slippery movement mechanics. It feels like you're constantly moving on ice or something. It's just not very sharp, which may be okay for a boring and closed playing field, but not good for this kind of platforming. Clearly, it doesn't even look easy. If you think the same, I'd have to agree. So let's fix this. Open the player script and change the way the ball moves. Firstly, create a vector3 value called position. Now delete all the code in the fix update void. We're going to be replacing it with our own position code. First, set the vector3 value to equal the transform position value of the sphere object this script is on. Then create an if statement for input.getKey keycode, and once you type a dot after that, the autocorrection direction system will give you a whole bunch of keyboard keys. I'll be choosing the up arrow key. Now press return and type position.z plus equals speed. In this void, all code is run every frame, and once you press the up arrow, this will move the ball forward by the public speed value. Now type a semicolon after that. You don't want errors. Copy and paste the two lines, change the key to down, and negate the speed value. Paste the code again, change the axis to X, and change the key to right arrow. Copy and paste that, change the key to left arrow, and once again, negate the speed value. Negating the value flips the ball's movement direction. You'll want to flip the value the same time you invert the key code. Finally, set the position to equal the vector3 value. Essentially, this will synchronize the vector3 with the sphere position. Okay, build the script, check for errors, and go back to Unity to test the game. And oh my god, the ball is moving very fast. However, the speed value is only set to 1. Because I changed the code, the ball moves way faster, even at frozen rotation. So let's change that to 0.1. That's way better, and way more sharp. However, there's still another problem. If you fall off the level, the ball position won't reset. Therefore, you're going to need to reset the program. Fortunately, inside of Unity, this only means to exit and enter play mode. However, once built to other platforms, it may be a bit more difficult. There is a way to fix this. Open the script again, and I'm going to write another value called position reset level. And then I'll write an if statement in fixed update. If is if transform position.y is this object's y position, and then I'll write less than or equal to position reset level. Then I'm going to set the general world position to a new vector3 value of 0, 0, 0, aka the world space origin, and that's where I place this game object. So that's the place it starts at once you start the game. Build this and switch back to Unity. First, let's go to the ball object script. Let's configure the reset level value. I want this below all the platforms. So first, I'm going to move the ball down below the platforms. 25? Not quite. 40? Okay, that looks good. Now, I'm going to edit the reset value to -40. If the ball goes below this, it resets back to origin. Again, I just did that inside the script. However, make sure to type the negative sign. Otherwise, you won't be able to move at all. Here's why. The reset level is 40 units above the ball, and if the ball is below that, it goes back to origin. And again, the game runs the code every frame, so it resets the ball position constantly. So, negate the value and let's test the game. This time, I'm going to try falling off the level. And this time, look what happens. Cool, right? And helpful. I mean, who wants to reset the game? Okay, I also made a sunset image with linear and radial gradients. I added that to the project and added it into the scene. I rotated that the same way as the camera, put it near the far plane, and scaled it to match. This creates a background behind all the platforms. I also attached the texture to the player, so that way it stays there and moves with the camera. That looks way more suitable. The video series also creates collectible cube objects. I had made one for the end of the level. The ball script detects collision between the objects. However, it contains score tracking and adds points on the collisions. I don't need this, so I set the win text right inside the if tag statement, and skip over the score code entirely. Also, I don't want to set the message inside the script, so I replaced text equals you win with game object set active true. Once I tried to build that, I did have some errors. These have to do with score tracking code earlier in the script, which only serves to accompany the later few lines I just deleted. So you guessed it, these have to go as well. Then of course, I switched back to Unity. Firstly, I ticked off the text object. This way, once you get the cube, the message text becomes active. That will show any text you type there in the inspector. So that way, I'm now able to type the message there instead of writing it in the script. That means I don't have to deal with not being able to quote things and having to use \n for return. This is way easier. So, that's basically it for level 1. In the future, I may explain the following topics: the second level, the title screen, and WebGL publishing. The last two aren't necessarily as interesting, but everyone has to deal with them sooner or later. So, that's it, and that's all. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, feel free to like it, share it with family and friends, and sub to my channel for more content. If you want to be notified of my new uploads, click on the bell icon after subscribing. I typically try to upload new videos on Saturdays or Sundays. Also, you can check out my channel. To do that, click on my icon or channel name just below the video. For any questions or requests you have, you can let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.